All right. Hey, this week in 1980s news, as reported by the New York Times, she turned in her Star Trek license plates, but the tickets kept coming. Have either of you guys ever had vanity plates, by the way?
I don't know
No,
how
but
to
I
wanted them.
drive.
Oh,
You don't know how to
No,
drive?
so I don't have a car or
Oh,
plates.
okay.
you have no need for vanity
No,
plates on a car
but when
then.
I was reading about this story, it was confusing as to how, like, are all Trekkies bad drivers? Like, why is she suddenly getting
Hmm.
all these tickets?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I have a theory
Wow.
about this, but I don't know.
what's your
Okay, yeah,
theory?
such a good
Is
question.
this a New York thing where you don't need to drive? I thought it was a LA thing where
It
you,
must be.
you don't need. No, LA you need to drive. New York, you don't need
Mm,
to drive. That's
Exactly.
right. There you go.
right. Yep.
I grew
Let
up
me tell you the
in
story here.
Yeah.
So New Yorker, I'm going to say Beta or Beta. Beta. Look, this sounds like a Star Trek name. Beta
It does.
Corey. I'll say
Mhm.
Corey. Returned her license plates stamped with NCC 1701, which is the call sign of the USS Enterprise in the Star Trek franchise. All the ships going back to the original series had that, at least that first numerical designation, and then they had different letters after them. But she turned them into the Motor Vehicles Department in New York in April of 2020. But in August of that year, she got a $50 ticket for speeding in the Bronx, even though she had stopped driving in June as her eyesight weakened. Then ticket after ticket arrived. So here's my theory. So apparently, according to this article, at least, they say Star Trek fans were out there doing their imitation of warp drive speed. That's the New York Times language.
Oh,
But
Right.
I think they're just talking tongue in cheek here. I think based on the types of tickets she was getting, some of them were a bunch of ne'er-do-wells maybe getting this plate to obfuscate their actual identities.
right.
Because
So
I don't
Mhm.
imagine
faking a
any Star Trek.
plate, and
Yeah.
the plate that
Mhm.
they decided to fake was just like their favorite show?
Right.
Well, I don't know. I think part of it is this plate, as we'll talk about, is available. This imitation of her plate is available on Amazon for $14.
Oh,
Is there any other?
Mhm.
Are there
Mhm.
any other plates as convincing? Maybe for
Right, that
$14?
look like a license plate
No.
that have those letters and numbers. Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
A
Mhm.
lot of
Mhm.
people
and I
had the same
yeah.
idea, which is interesting. A lot of people who
Well,
wanted to drive
Hmm.
fast or
I guess what's not clear is if they are fans, are they putting them in the back window and the cameras are picking it up, or are they
Right.
putting it over the plate? I, I
I
would
I thought
think,
it was
Right.
yeah.
both. Like, some people
Okay.
were covering up their plates so that they could do something bad and they wouldn't be tracked. But the
Mhm.
other problem is that if you're just a fan and you put it in your windshield, then the cameras will pick up on it, and that's a
Mm,
problem with the cameras, right? So they're
yeah.
just
Yes.
automatically sending out these tickets to people, which is not
Mhm.
fair to that poor woman who, by the way, that was
Yeah.
her ex-husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yep.
they weren't even it wasn't even her vanity plate. It was her
Yeah. She wasn't the fan,
vanity
No.
right? Yeah.
seemed
Yeah.
very unfair.
The plates were purchased by, as you point out, originally by her then husband, who was a big Trekkie, in 1998. But when she turned them in, she got a note from the DMV that said the plates were destroyed. But for the next 4
Mhm.
years, Corey, who's now 75, was entangled in state bureaucracy and various state bureaucracies because she kept receiving tickets for various infractions, from speeding tickets to, in some cases, robbery in two different, in Ohio and Canada.
Not a
Yes.
good look for Trekkies.
No, 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 no.
No, it's not. I think she also got tickets because of the Easy Pass systems where you can
Mm,
just, woo, you just whip right through. And yeah, if you don't have your tag to register the toll, they get your license
yeah.
plate and try to find you. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it is them having it in the window. They don't realize, but then you're right. It's the camera should be like, wait, there's two plates here.
Yeah.
The one on the bottom
Yeah.
should trump the one that's in the window, but maybe
You'd
not there
think.
yet technologically. We're not in the Star
Mhm.
Trek universe yet. They'd be able to do it.
Yes.
According to the trail of tickets, Corey had been flouting the law in a cross-country crime spree using random vehicles. including motorcycles in some instances. In more than 20 states, including Washington, Ohio, Texas, Florida, and her home state of New York. In New York City alone, the Department of Finance said that in November she owed $16,588.
This poor woman.
Poor woman. And she stopped driving
Yes.
because she can't see well. So she's stuck at home just collecting
Right.
bills. It's not fair.
And having to deal with this. What a nuisance. Oh my gosh.
I'd be furious. I can't imagine how furious a New Yorker would be. So she was able to clear up all these erroneous citations by contacting the various departments throughout the country. And she's been assured by the New York DMV that this won't happen anymore. They've done whatever is necessary to prevent it from happening. Although they said that even when you turn plates in, even when they're, quote, destroyed, there's always a record of who owned it last, so they could still, assign these types of infractions to somebody.
Yes, actually, Brandon posed that question or that comment. He says, one would think if the plate was returned to the DMV that the person's name would no longer be associated with it, but that's not the case.
At least in the state of New York, they said they continue to have your name on record as the last owner of record. And as in this instance, and for these types of purposes, I guess if you commit a crime, you rob a bank, I'm going to turn these plates in. They're never going to find me. They had to have some kind of plan B. We're going to find you.
Yeah.
Who owned them last?
But also, it does make you think that maybe the DMV is not really on the cutting edge of technology, or, as you mentioned, we are not, in fact, in Star Trek times.
Yes.
Shocking that the DMV is behind the times in any way. We have shorter lines for sure.